she's... Oh, goddamn. Let's just... Well, whatever, let's just start, I guess. Number 13, the Barbed Bracelet. Oh boy. This bracelet, and the series of circumstances involving its existence, is a case study in how threateningly easy it can be to take even the biggest slam dunk and just flat out just f it up. Give it double damage, give people a couple of weeks to just have fun with it, let the speedrunner crowd get all their PBs out of it, then make a tactical nerf down to like a 60 or 70 or something, I don't know. 25% damage in exchange for 100% received damage should just not be, this ain't it, I'm sorry. We're talking 5 more damage per needle hit, and that's if you're fully kitted out. Any attack that deals 1 mask of damage twice now gets doubled to 4 in total, and I'm not fully willing to mark how it doesn't double the damage from voided enemies as a positive, because I'm not even completely sure if it's intentional. It really doesn't feel like it. This does nothing but prove that we did everything we could in Hollow Knight for 7 years just to keep from getting bored. Because Team Cherry now thinks speedrunning P5 with one arm tied to your chair and your balls taped to the ceiling was just something we all did before breakfast. That 25% boost has to be because they were afraid it would get abused like Fury did in the first game. I can think of no other reason why it's that low. Number 12, Spider Strings. I mean, yeah, it sucks, but can I really talk that much shit? Yeah, I can. Dream Wielder was way better, and this downgrade, I think, enables us to engage in a smidge of harmless mudslinging. This is like a shittier version of the Groovatron from Ratchet & Clank. You can be a lore item and also offer additional perks in exploration or in combat that get discovered later on in a playthrough. The only combat-related perks this item has is honestly negligible, which is doubling the amount of time enemies spend in a trance and increasing its area of effect by 25%, which that's just not as much as it sounds. We're getting all these buffs to the needle and everything except softening the incredibly awkward feeling of using it in combat to begin with, which is the reason why Dream Wielder was so good. Do you have any idea how stressing it is to manage getting my butt ruptured by a colony of sniper ants and you want me to sit down and start playing a fucking mandolin? It's useless in platforming, it's useless in gauntlets because no one is affected by the needle end in gauntlets. Cogflies always knock enemies out of the trance state. Like, there's so much you could have done here. Maybe take the warding bell effect and extend it to the needle and make it to where previously aggroed enemies can still be tranced. Take away the silk cost, or at least cut it in half. I don't know what it needs, but it needs something. Number 11, the Scuttlebrace. Scuttling with the Scuttlebrace is around 20% slower than sprinting normally, and when paired with the J's, scuttling ends up being just a hair faster than sprinting, maybe like 5%, give or take. You can use the brace to evade certain enemy attacks that don't clip the ground, because the scuttle motion also lowers and widens your hitbox, and there's even a cool little animation that plays when you scuttle dodge with the same timing of a parry. We are so close to the idea of building around, like we are fondling the balls of parry builds, but we're still just not quite there. Even if it's just extending the window by like 1 or 2 frames, it would just be nice to see that they're paying attention to it. The actual quandary that comes with deciding whether or not this is viable is understanding the movement that comes with it. And it's got all the fixins of a balanced southern hash brown country style breakfast. Easily cancelable, runs up walls, turnaround animation can be skipped if you're in the air, using it in the air makes you fall faster, and gives you more horizontal momentum than sprinting. It's just, like, this is why deciding where this should go is so stressful, because once you pick up on all the movement tech, it really feels like this tool is one viral challenge run away from sneaking into top 5, and saying it's bad in any capacity will get you laughed at 10 months later. And I've decided that I'm completely okay with crossing that bridge in 10 months if it means I get to just say it's dog shit and move on. Because right now, it just feels like a missed opportunity to have something cool. Number 10, the Magnetite Brooch. Bitches who think it's goated get real quiet when the no rosary runs begin to circulate. Your favorite rosary spot just got slightly easier to keep up with. That's about it. Thief's Mark is the obvious necessity here if you're looking to maximize your stacks, and all the Brooch really does is just make it to where that process takes like half a second quicker, and when you're nearing the end of a room transition, you have to stop and wait for all the rosaries you're collecting to catch up to your ass so you can move on. It definitely helps the gathering process, but I'm never thinking about how helpful it's actually being. If anything, I just think to myself, god damn, I'm lazy as shit. It can stop the occasional stray rosary from wandering too far away and taking a swim in lava, but if it touches the lava at any point, then it's still gone, so it doesn't really matter that much. Even the tools it's commonly paired with tend to fall toward the bottom of their own ladders. Like, yeah, rosaries fired from the rosary cannon will be automatically picked up. Fuck, am I supposed to get out of bed for that? because I'm not gonna. It does have an interaction with the dice that allows rosaries to be picked up 30% faster, which can do a pretty good job at saving a few stacks from environmental hazards every so often, but that's just the dice once again proving why it's the best yellow tool. Yeah, I hope you don't mind me saying the quiet part out loud, but I think that's something we all knew already. Number 9, the Shard Pendant. So, grinding for shards is starting to feel like a universally inescapable truth, like taxes, or having videos made about you, mathematically proving why you're a moron. And that's doubly true for architect builds that burn through red tools like a fuel furnace. And so long as these truths remain self-evident as the Constitution, popular grinding spots will always have a place in the common soldier's mind palace. I'm sorry, I've been playing a lot of Helldivers a lot recently, if it's not obvious. Just one small problem. Thanks to vendor NPCs that have a bottomless supply of shard bundles, farming for rosaries and then using them to buy shards is just a smoother process to a lot of people, and I think I have to agree. There's no way to bundle shards in the same way rosaries can be strung together at stringing stations, and there's no shard counterpart to tools like Magnetite Brooch and Thief Mask. There might be a small conversation to be had about running this with Snitch Pick since you can generate extra shards from enemies with Clawline, but rosary farms just tend to be way more comfortable because the game actually gives you decent tools that facilitate it. Number 8, Dead Bug's Purse. I don't really know where this one ends up for me. The oppressive Dark Souls 2 style runbacks felt like an easy road to putting this in top 5 somewhere, but then I reminded myself my wallet is 20 bucks thinner, then swung my balls over my shoulder and just got shit done. And around 2 weeks in, it sounds like mostly everyone else learned that same lesson. The only thing that directly influences where this tool falls for you is how confident you are with traversing difficult platforming and eventually getting to the boss. Fighting the boss is no big deal since your cocoon is usually just chilling conveniently at the room entrance anyways, but sometimes you eat shit on the way there, Satan decides it's his turn on the Xbox, and you attempt once again, tilt it off your tits, boom, pow, shit, I didn't know to explode, and now you've lost your entire life savings. The purse can help prevent this problem, and that's if you didn't think ahead and tie up your life savings at a stringing station prior, which can be a little out of the way, but it's honestly just the better way to carry your shit. I said it as a joke, but I guess it really is like opening a savings account. Feels kind of pointless and dumb at first, but then you leave it alone for a while and remember that savings account at a critical moment. I think everyone has had that moment happen to them at least once in the game, where all seems lost and then you open your inventory and you're like, oh shit, hang on, I have like 35 of these dumbass bracelets. Number 7, Thief's Mark. Okay, look, I really don't want to sound like this item doesn't do its job or anything, but that's potentially 5% of my entire earnings getting knocked out of my wallet with one hit. If you've started flowing into a grind, then you're probably not thinking about stopping everything just to string up what you have, and if you've been doing this for more than like 10 minutes, then you're probably carrying some fucking paper. 3 to 5% is not as small as it sounds, like that shit is steep, even with the 30% chance. Snitchflies won't attack Hornet if she's wearing this, and Silksong having its own Thieves Guild, I'll admit, was a pretty cool additional element, but that's not really practical since this is an enemy type you don't run into that much. Don't get me wrong, Thief's Mark is very, very capable of doing its job, but that job is not general exploration. It's a very particular job that involves running the same route ad nauseum and being familiar enough with it that the penalty doesn't matter. It's not for when you're actually out sniffing the borders of all the walls trying to find a new lore drop, it's for when you're so goddamn poor that spanking the same Grand Read like 12 times is the only known remedy to your poverty. Number 6, Ascendant's Grip. When I actually remember that I have it on and that I should be using it, it actually tends to come in pretty handy. I don't have too many complaints. Most of its benefits are obviously going to shine during tougher platforming sections like Mount Fae, or ascending to the Nameless Town in Act 3. Dashing while clinging to a wall lets you run up the wall, and if you're near the top of it, you kind of just do this jump motion automatically, and that makes clawline aiming way less of a drag when it counts. I think I was more surprised by the utility I got out of this during combat. If you ever wanted Nihilith to be even easier, use this tool to bring it down to the same toughness level of actually just going outside and beating the shit out of a bush. Most combat gauntlets are enclosed by flat walls, allowing Hornet to stall for an honestly unfair amount of time in some encounters. If you can use verticality to get to a high enough spot, you can kind of just spend the rest of the gauntlet taking pop shots at helpless mobs, so long as they don't have the wings to come up there and tell you about it. Bosses and platforming seem to be the two most common environments in which people build their criteria around to decide if something is good, but I don't know, I think we should open a third criteria that's just gauntlets, because in those moments, I feel like the Ascendant grip can actually pull even more weight than some blue tools. Number 5, the Weighted Belt. I went through quite a character arc with this item's ancestor, so I'm really gonna try and aim to straddle what I think is a very necessary line between being overly critical of said ancestor's only child, while also ensuring any undue praise doesn't get grandfathered in by accident. The weighted belt does a lot of things that I actually really appreciate, and a lot of other things that I either don't think are too necessary and or don't even notice most of the time. Weighted belt doesn't completely reduce the recoil distance when taking or dealing hits. It only compensates for around 50%, and part of what made Steady Body as strong as it is was the complete 100% removal of any recoil at all. But 50% is still recoil, like you're still having to compensate your movements for something. Wondrous Crest with Flea Brew is still kinda tricky to handle properly even with the reduced recoil, but Weighted Belt is helpful for not getting wombo comboed by the business end of an enemy weapon and the business end of your own environment, I guess. It also borrows a bit of utility from the Stalwart Shell Charm in the first game by slightly increasing your invulnerability window upon taking damage, something the item description doesn't even mention. Sure hope the game doesn't fall into that nasty habit. Hi, yes, I was born yesterday. Number 4, the Compass. I'm not a pixel scientist, but I'm pretty sure Silksong is a bigger game than Hollow Knight. We can obviously prove this with math and numbers and a bunch of lame shit and stuff like that, but I think no greater evidence of this point could ever exist than the recent mod created by MCXGK3, who thought they were verifying their identity with a CAPTCHA and mistakenly put this in as their username. This mod does a brilliant job on, well, basically everything it intends to. But one thing I think it does exceptionally well is put into perspective how small you really were in the first game, and how much bigger Silksong had to be to compensate for Hornet's size and mobility. This means I'm twice as likely to get lost, and my brain eventually coming up with a reliable blueprint of my own mental map is gonna take twice as long. I'm a man with over 400 hours total in this game, and I still have trouble taking this bitch off. It's one of the first and cheapest yellow tools you can get, measuring it at only 70 rosaries, and you can see your player icon even if you don't have a map for the area, just like in the first game. The compass carried my brick wall IQ ass through the first couple playthroughs of Hollow Knight, and even though my spatial acuity has only deteriorated with age, it has no problem doing the exact same thing in Silksong. Items like the compass are the reason I have zero natural direction sense in Metroidvanias, and as long as they continue to get thrown at me, having the cognitive mapping capabilities of a dog with a bag stuck on his head is something I'm perfectly okay with. Number 3, the Shell Satchel. You can actually pick this up insanely early if you just book it for Swift Step and then loop back around to Bone Bottom from there. It'll probably suck dealing with the local flavor once you're in Wormways, but I suck pretty hard at this game myself and I did it no problem. Shell Satchel is functionally the same as 2 tool pouch upgrades. So tools like Pen Pillow go from 8 to 10, Straight Pen goes from 24 to 30, you get the idea. It starts behaving a little weird with tools that have a low base quantity like Flint Slate and Plasmium File, but I've already lost my shit enough over that math and won't be revisiting it for my own mental health. Setting aside my own bias as a filthy architect main on this one felt like bench pressing a pair of car tires. I could not for the life of me get the fuck over myself. I had this at number 1 at some point, I think because the function is straightforward enough to both be really good and also just lack general drawbacks, like no silk expense, no losing rosaries on taking damage or any of that shit. Whatever your favorite red tool is, well, now you can use it a couple more times. And I use tools a lot, so I'm always running out. Oftentimes, way before a big fight is actually over. If you're not running the Shaman Crest, you're almost always using a red tool in some capacity, even if it's just to throw on Flint Slate and then call it a day. And this is already pretty damn good on any builds involving red tools, but if you're an architect main, like this shit is a dream. Number 2, the Silkspeed Anklets. The whole of Farloom is your bitch when you got the J's on. Don't let the silk cost dissuade you from making that Pizza World montage video, because the cost is, it's pretty much nothing. Like, it is so close to nothing, I could call it literally nothing, and I still don't think people would disagree with it. In fact, the cost can be nothing if they're used correctly. It takes around 6 seconds of continued sprinting with the anklets on, and if you stop for, I think, around 4, that's when the silk counter resets. So as long as you're sprinting for intervals of less than 6 seconds, pausing for at least 4 in between, and then repeating that loop like Hornet just found a high-intensity training DVD, the anklets will actually cost no silk at all. Using these in tandem with Flea Brew grants you the capabilities of a Formula 1 car. It's the only tool you'll ever need for all your DoorDash deliveries, and it really, truly tries its best to do what it can with Scuttlebrace. Valiant effort, Helldiver, but that shit still stank. Number 1, the Magnetite Dice. So, Carefree Melody was already, Well, I don't know if goated is an accurate representation, but it was pretty damn nice. And I think it's very amusing that Magnetite Dice has went through almost 0 changes, save a couple hidden interactions with other tools, and it ends up being propelled to at least 2 leagues beyond the rest of its competition just because of the environment it functions in. All that fake-ass double damage when enemies can sometimes deal a single mask of damage twice now have double the chance to get 0 to... I mean, that's not how probability works, but you know what I mean. The dice get 2 chances to negate damage instead of 1, is what I'm saying. Do not trust what this looks like on paper. This thing only tops out at 10% after receiving at least 5 consecutive hits of damage, and I swear to God, it feels like it triggers just as often as Carefree Melody. The amount of times for the dice to trigger are so much greater just due to how much time you spend either around damage or being damaged. Because if I'm being honest, a 10% chance to do anything at all, like that already sounds like a scam on paper, but when that effect is just straight up giving something the finger and just saying, no, that attack, that one didn't count. That one didn't count, you gotta do another one. I don't remember the exact video I was watching, but I saw this comment on like a YouTube short saying that the dice was the best yellow tool, but if it were a blue tool, it would be worse than Druid's Eyes. It had a lot of thumbs up.
How about I get a little fancier?